Hello, hello, it's Shirley with Spirits of Matter, and this is a Mercury night. I see flickering star here in the sky, but I have to admit I don't identify just yet. It's lunar hour. Sun is in the 7th house, and Pluto is one astrological second away from Aquarius. Luna in the 11th house, ascendant ruled by Sun, midheaven ruled by Venus, Venus with vertex, 26 degrees Sag, 5th house for this recording. And I'm excited for the countdown. We're gonna have Pluto ingressing into Aquarius again. I don't know if I can identify this star right here. If I can, I'll show you. It's right outside my window. Is this Saturn? Ah, let me take a screenshot. Can I take a screenshot? Wait. Let me try to do it again. It's Saturn. Okay, Saturn. Well, hello, Saturn. It's flickering. Saturn is ruling Pluto both in Capricorn and in Aquarius. Let me see if I can show you. Oh, I don't know. Yes, it does. I'm gonna take a picture. And it allowed me to take a picture. I don't think I can do a video while I'm shooting a video because that would be let's see. from Capricorn to so while we are dissolving structures, and we are acquainted with the importance of trust to the health of the nervous system. Our physical body reduces inflammation, reduces stress, allows for intimacy, allows us to work, allows us to give life. It is both supported and supporting all these things through benevolence, trust, our well-being. The nervous system of Aquarius is about, you want to think about Linux, which is actually a Finnish invention, both Nokia and Linux. And when we're talking about a decentralized system, we're talking about also the understanding that we have that Linux is safer than Windows because it is decentralized and not hierarchical. So more people can tend to, whether it's like hacking or stuff, but also when people have what they need and they trust, then there's also less attempts to take advantage of a system where people are actually benefiting from it. And it's a cultural, societal, spiritual, and scientific understanding. We are moving from the power of climbing a mountain that is Pluto and Capricorn. We will revisit him again in September or so, into the power of the nervous system, connection to the cosmic, to the force, to the nature, to humanities, to the planet's nervous system. Trust. Understanding that trust is a value that serves humanity, nature, and there are various ways of trust and of creating trust and of preserving trust, which Saturn signifies here in Pisces. While Luna is hovering above and separating from where Sedna was and will be. Sedna ingresses into Gemini February 11th. And let's just see. And here with the countdown. It's a very exciting moment. The juncture between both Saturns. That of not only the dissolution of the system, but actually the foundations of 248 years to be in the making. The moon is still growing since our new moon in Capricorn, co-present with Pluto on the anaretic degree, 29 Capricorn. There's a lot of good in giant trees, which Saturn represents, and mountains that protect us from the flood. As we are letting go of structures that no longer serve, we are also encountering and creating foundations of structures that do and will carry us through 300 years of evolution. This is important to remember upon the ingress. As Pluto is leaving Capricorn, it is not destroying so much as it is building an up-to-speed foundations that's going to support this nervous system health this trust to be formed. It's going to carry us through not only the next cycle of Pluto, Saturn, Neptune, it's co-present with the ruler Saturn, but also the age of Aquarius, going from the age of Pisces to the age of Aquarius this time. Foundations that are relevant for the age of Aquarius and will carry us through the 300 years of transition. We are creating foundations, not just destroying or letting go of what no longer serves on this moment. And we are here. Still Luna's hour, and this is Mercury night. Mercury in 7 degrees Capricorn. It is trine in Jupiter and separating from both the trine to Jupiter and the sextile to Saturn. I hope y'all launched what you needed to launch, said what you needed to say, said what was needed to say, and Mars left the 11th degree of Capricorn. So we got beautiful skies tonight. Mercury in Capricorn is also assisting us in the words that stand the test of time. Trust, benevolence. Luna was in Taurus today. I hope you got to capture the moon in Taurus. We also had an Algol talisman election, believe it or not. So whatever you managed to capture today, there was a beautiful election for the 5th lunar mansion in many places. And thanks to that, Sun, Pluto conjunction in Capricorn on the anaretic degree. We'll see if we can capture also the 0 degrees Aquarius. The dawn of a new day. As the sun is already in Aquarius. So happy birthday month for the Aquarians. Move into your next perfected year. You can write in the comments below what perfected year you are moving into and what house is Aquarius for you. Pluto is about to meet the sun again as it ingresses and will accompany us for tomorrow. In my region, for you maybe today or the rest of the day, where it's going to meet the sun again in Aquarius. And you want to tend to the planets magically in whichever way you can. I still remember back in the years when Lada said, oh, Mars was creating difficulty for her husband chart. She said it to everyone, so so I just repeat that. And her husband looked at the sky and he blessed Mars at the sky, and then Mars began to be kinder to her husband. So this is something that you can do even if you don't have an education in astrological magic, which has become so prevalent nowadays, that I've literally began to see women who do magic that remind us that our bodily fluids are also important and our bodily cycles are also relevant. So once upon a time, who would have thought about anything but maybe the moon and sun? And now the whole community is doing astrological magic. But even if you don't know how to do it, you can still, like I'm doing. Saturn is considered my malefic out of sect, and I bless Saturn and I look at Saturn, and it is kind to me. It is very kind to me, and I'm very grateful. And so this is a reminder that it's time to look at the planets or to appreciate the planets or to tend to the planets, tend to Aries as well. In Aries, every planet has gift to give us. Every fixed star, every asteroid has gift to give us. And it's also a good time to recall Emina's M channeling of Pluto. Back in the days, I think it's still found on M's channel or Lada's channel. And Pluto is about authenticity. Intention goes a long way with all the planets, especially the outer planets. Um, and it's about honoring yourself, basically, is authenticity that Pluto brings to the table. And it has a lot of wealth to give us. It's important to remember. So, Pluto is the gift of authenticity with ourselves, with the world. And now, conjoining the sun, we get every person, because it's a personal planet, so every person in the world gets a chance to be authentic with themselves. For me, it was in the 11th house, so I was publicly releasing some stuff. That was very authentic, more so than even usual. Authentic, autobiographical, and I really liked it. Okay, I really liked the influence where you get to be yourself. So Pluto can bring this authenticity, this extra authenticity, and with the sun, also on a very personal level, every chart out there that is you people has the chance to be fully themselves and capture this energy. You can record something, you can write something um, at this time as Saturn is flickering in the window. Visiting us would give a blessing to Saturn that's ruling the entire ingress. So Saturn is ruling Pluto and has been ruling Pluto since 2008 and will continue to do so until 2044. Can anybody give me a count? 2008, 2044. So 2008, 18, 28, 38, that would be 30 years. And then almost 40, 30, 30, wait. 38, 36 years. It's going to be around 36 years, which is literally a Saturn maturation when you think about it. So Saturn will be ruling Pluto overall for 36 years, since 2008 until 2044. And we are also on the nodes. We are in the age of the nodes of Saturn and Pluto conjuncting, which I think is 500 years. And this is a tremendous age of transformation, absolutely. Again, talking about people mention it as some very, very difficult times. And if we want to see the light within, then we definitely are building new structures. One of the things that came up as I was working with my ancestors today, I was working with my mother line a lot, and I realized how it is so true that the mother line is bringing wealth here. And I was listening today to a little bit to the Gilgamesh stories, Enima Alish, and apparently it's the pre-Genesis story. I never truly listened closely, so I didn't know that it's just like and humanity kind of like returns every 500 years or so, every 5,000 years or so, for 5,000 years or so. And I was thinking about the stories of Gilgamesh and the kind of like the way they treated Tiamat, but also the way Tiamat was being represented, and this whole concept of kind of like yin and yang, or the sky punishes the earth, like with China. And I realized that the equity of gods and goddesses um, is a point of interference for existence that is more consistent of humanity, of life. And perhaps we have a chance at that. So this and this is funny because this is a Shabbat where I live, and the neighbors were celebrating Shabbat, and were a group of men singing a lot of songs while I was listening to Gilgamesh stories and the flute. I didn't listen to the flute just yet, but it was all very interesting. Apparently, they discovered the Gilgamesh stories, the Animalish, by researching for the foundations of the Bible in history. And they found something that's very similar to the Bible, but preceded the Bible by 5,000 years or so, if I'm not mistaken. It's Babylon and the foundations of Babylon. And the Babylon Empire, basically, they learned from everyone they conquered. So if you talk about the Gilgamesh story, they're probably consisting and revisiting and building up and then turning into the Syria of today. So it's diversity of cultures. And in the Bible, what do we know? We know the Tower of Babel, that was considered a hubris, okay, a punishment because too many people understood each other, and it seems like, oh my God, nothing's bad gonna happen if we understand each other. We're not going to overpopulate to extinction if we maintain will and consent and biodiversity. So, and the preservation of knowledge. You think about words and what they mean, and how to convey the messages, language. So Mercury in Saturn sign, of course, we think about the history of language and how what we think perhaps was the signs of language or developing perhaps could have been people just wanting to leave something to be found that is beyond, that stand the test of time and can be decipherable. So we go back to imaging, to symbolism, um, to talismans, to glyphs of planets, okay, and creation. Pluto in Capricorn and the Pluto soul is about creation that stand the test of time, like at least a couple of generations, and perhaps even way beyond that. And so, um, how do people preserve such knowledge? I saw a Twitter post. I don't remember exactly the name, and he lives in Geneva. And he said, if I were to preserve something, I wouldn't think about me so much or people remembering me, but to preserve knowledge, or not my life, but knowledge. So I think living a good life is important because it is like a fractal of existence, and preserving knowledge is important because it's relevant to that fractal of existence called life at every place and time. And just as predicted, we see new concepts not only of time, but also new looks at gravity, right, as expected. And we're going to embark on more on that, science of gravity. So not only bad things happening in the world, and it is not to downplay things that do happen, but definitely gives us a sense of a perspective that aims at the essence of the point of interference, what's happening in the world. We think about, yes, um, it's not the rise of those goddesses, okay, to oppress or to overwhelm. It's the rise of those goddesses. And think about even Aries will be moving to Taurus. So it's the rise of those goddesses' forces to be equal, to be in equity, to support and be supported. And something even on an ancestral level um, was like, I was working with the motherline and I was like, wait, what about the fathers? What about the fathers? And I was like, wait, mothers are giving value, providing health, well-being, the voices and nourishment and support and expression, and they're being supported by existing. They're just being supported by the fathers that come to provide for them and to be there. And also, when we do ancestrals, it's important to do the more than one gender, or the two gender, or the gender queers, or the genderless for some people, up the ancestry line, because we all have them. Those were our shamans, our healers. When you think back to tribal societies, indigenous people, but way back in the days, okay? So they got a lot to give. So that is also important when we are connected with our ancestry. And ancestry is more than just forefathers. There are foundationals. There are people that we can't even, because if we are all from the source of the soul, then our ancestors eventually are all of that, in whichever way you see them. So we are here with Pluto, 29 degrees, 59 astrological minutes. It's where I began this live, and it's Mercury night. And Mercury will soon be ruling the ascendants. So we got some time for that, before that, because now we are at 24 degrees Leo. We started at 18, which is kind of not the best, but we did it. Venus is still in the 5th house. She's going to be in the 4th house soon. 26 degrees. Right on my midheaven. She right on my midheaven, releasing from the square to Neptune. But she did trine Aries today. Oh, she trined Aries in the last couple of days. Oh my God, Venus trined Aries. Trined Aries in Aries, and this is a fire, passion, inclusivity. So Aries is all that. So while she was squaring Neptune, she was definitely trining Aries. And so she is goddess of truth, absolutely, and emphasizes freedom and inclusivity and scientific breakthroughs when we do that. Okay, so this Venus will keep accompanying ruling Mercury, ruling Jupiter in Taurus, and Uranus, that's going to be turning direct on the 27th this month, and then all the planets will be direct for until April 2. Yes, we talked about it. The January forecast. See, the moon now is the 11th house, the Mercury sign. And tomorrow it will hit Aldebaran and release from the square to Saturn. You might want to attempt at seeing if you can capture Sun Pluto. You won't get the moon aspecting right yet because it's trining now, but you might get the moon hour. It's going to be a sol day for me, so you might get the moon hour, and that's the best you can at capturing this if you want to. So I'm going to give a shout out to Ada again. And one of the things she said about Pluto in Aquarius is there's going to be a lot of alternative people's economies, people's business going digital. A lot of the people becoming independent, entrepreneurial. It's still a Saturn sign. Um, it's a different Saturn. It's a more decentralized Saturn. And I'd like to think about that because on the news, you're going to be bombarded. And this is now me. You're going to be bombarded with um, a chain reaction of an old shedding trees shedding the leaves of the old economy. Okay. So a lot of the old banks, a lot of the old investment companies, a lot of the old tycoons are going to be descending into the underworld. But do not worry for them. They probably knew this, and they're probably prepared for the day. And the news are going to look quite differently, perhaps, than what we think. But it's also the rise and the embark on many other things that were waiting to happen, um, like those alternative economies, those people economies. So this is a time where you probably have been having insight about wealth across the generations and um, about what wealth is to you. And Pluto is a very manifesting planet of such wealth. You think about the nervous system, so connecting with that and tapping into that, um, that's going to be incredibly beneficial. And this is important. It's also important to listen to those Aquarius ascendants because they have been having Pluto in the 12th. Um, and they are attuned with the changes. Okay, they're gonna go through transformations for sure, but they're definitely attuned with the changes, and they are embarking to Pluto leaving the 12th house, so they're more optimistic. Okay, more optimistic because they've been through that since 2008. So big shout out to all my Aquarius ascendants out there, Sun, Moon, and stelliums as well. Um, Capricorn ascendants begin to have Pluto in the second house. So some of you might be having 2 decades of wealth creation. And art will play a big role in this. I was watching a movie actually about the Rothschilds. And if we and I was thinking also about the Rothschilds that are no longer with us, and how when people cross over, they are opening their wealth of the world in a way that is very benevolent, and so they can care what's going on. They can care what's going on, not just in terms of power, but they can see the things that they weren't seeing before, like the satellite that I'm seeing here. Flickering red, and I know it's not a star because it moves so fast. Either a satellite or playing. It doesn't make any sound. You see, this is very interesting. The skies. Yes, the skies. The abundance of the skies. So, yeah. And so, the abundance of the skies, of all things, flickering red light, moving. Well, I was watching the Rothschilds and I was thinking how some of them absolutely care of what's going on and how they can see what they weren't seeing from the incarnations as anybody when they cross over. So the wealth can be tapped into, but also they invested in arts and wine, and they combined the two. They invested in housing and built a mansion and created art in the mansion, so it sold for 100-fold after 100 years. So of course, this is a very different thinking than both an ego and a legacy. Because nobody's going to remember which Rothschild did which. People talk about ego death. I wouldn't say ego death, but just an understanding that we matter and we are a part of a nervous system, and a sense of connectedness and a sense of authenticity and shine and individual shine are in good balance. We have wealth and trust. So whatever you think about the Rothschilds, or what do people do in this incarnation, or what did people do in past incarnations, people also cross over and wealth can be tapped too. And eventually it was creation that was very Taurian. When I think about it, I don't know like the charts of the family, but it's very Taurian. And I was watching this today. It's a person who wondered, how do I make wealth from my art? Or how do I create and all of this stuff? Just have the time to do this. Well, I was creating today a lot. So astrological elections were abundant today. Absolutely abundant. It's so much so that I was exhausted, but then energized by my creation. So, yeah. Oh, this is the hour of the cat. Have a cat that stands at the window and makes these noises in the middle of the night. This is new. So this is the time for him. And then when he stops, the dogs outside. It's not dogs, just that hound dogs. I'm not sure. The wild dogs, they begin to, make sound. So nature, what you think about is quiet. It's not just quiet. There are also many sounds. So, yeah, into the wild nature. And let's see how much of this can we capture as this Pluto is standing on the last astrological minute of Capricorn. And the midheaven is now approaching Algol while the ascendant is approaching Regulus. We had a beautiful Algol election today as well for some of us. And so, time to honor Algol, the protectress, the shielder in spirit and in matter. And I was tapping to Algol also as a source of great wealth. And wealth in a very holistic or whole, WH whole sign of the meaning of it. Wealth is our joy, our benevolence, comfortable in our body and our sensuality, psychic awareness, comfortable in our psychic abilities, benevolent in our psychic abilities as well, and our sensuality, benevolent in our sensuality as well. Trust again appears. So to honor beautiful Algol. So yeah. And ascendant is slowly approaching Regulus that moved from Leo to Virgo, shining in our wit, humor, and down to earthiness, kind of a rulership. Down to earthiness, down to the leadership, down to earth type of awareness. So, Virgo, mutable earth, Mercury ruled. So, people of the word can absolutely shine. And benevolence with our words is available right now. Regulus is also the benevolent ruler, the benevolent crown, the benevolent leader, another source of great wealth opening, the royal star. Now down to earth with the people of the word that enjoy their labor. Few people know how Virgos enjoy their labor. Okay? They enjoy doing what they do. This is the secret of Virgo. To find where you enjoy doing what you do. And shine. And stay down to earth. So the awareness of details is the joy of perceiving reality and perceiving the world. Attunement. All these joys. The little things. What people think is pettiness doesn't have to be. It can simply be the joy of being attuned, paying attention, rather than anxiety. So Regulus brings that type of noticing the little ways in which the world is benevolent to us. This is Regulus, shining for who we are. And so, yes, we're approaching almost the end of the hour of the moon. Vertex has now moved from Venus to Mercury. While I was speaking about this Mercury ruled Regulus in tropical sign, And we got some more Luna. And Luna, of course, is Mercury ruled. And she's ruling the 12th house now. Soon to be the 11th. By the way, I think Uranus, yes, Uranus was the most angular planet when I began. It's retrograde Uranus. That's what it is. So speaking about nervous system, 6 minutes to Saturn hour, Mercury night, Saturn hour. And previously, last hour was a Mercury hour. Yeah. But I opened with the moon hour. So you should think about opulence. Saw this word from a Beyonce song. We came out with this moon in Taurus today, big and shining, opulence. So that's another word to open this ingress with, opulence. And this time, opulence not just to the top echelons, but opulence well distributed. We're approaching Saturn hour, and the Aquarian Saturn, the Aquarius has a fixed star called Deneb Algadi, where the descendant is just releasing conjunction from. So honoring Deneb Algadi, wealth well distributed. This is the time, the 2 decades of wealth, all wealth, redistributed. So soil, Uranus and Taurus is going to be in a base sextile, and then Gemini. Technology, well distributed. You'd be surprised. This is Denebagadi. Water, clear water, well distributed. Clear air, well distributed. This is Denebagadi. Well-being, well distributed. So Denebagadi would be prominent star to turn to, fixed star to turn to, both if Saturn is not the easy accessible energy in your chart, like if you're born with the sun below the horizon, and just in general, this is a fixed star with the nature of Jupiter and Mars, and I think Caitlin Kappak and Aspen Kappak and Christopher Warnock for the teachings of the magical way to work with Deneb Algadi. But I don't stop at the tradition. And Caitlin is now a tradition. So embarking on that, okay? A Sphere and Sundry founder. So now I'm also looking at Deneb Algadi, the wealth redistributor. Deneb Algadi will tell you where to steal when you need to steal so that you will do the least amount of harm, and who to gift when you give so that you will distribute the wealth correctly. Think how benefic it is to turn to Deneb Algadi every day when it's possible, as Pluto ingresses to Aquarius, And you think about the nervous system, something decentralized. Okay, it's very close, getting closer. So, big star than a Valkyrie, a royal star that you definitely want to get to know. If you think about the eye, I think it's the fish eye. How do you call it? Like the eye that cast away like the eagle eye. So this is the symbol of Valkyrie, like the blue eye. So that's something I learned first when I learned about Valkyrie, wealth redistribution and equity. Very, 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 very close to Saturn. Oh, Venus is not just on the 26 degrees of Sag, she's basically on the galactic center. So, yeah. At the galactic center is where we have the ability to choose the light. So, yeah. You can access it now. Understand that the galactic center is informed. And oh, that's the Ingress to Saturn hour. Informed. The galactic center is informed. And Venus will slowly apply to sextile this Saturn. Being informed of the subterranean forces. Saturn is very close to another royal star, fixed star, Fomalhaut. Fomalhaut, and this I'm very grateful to both Christopher Warnock and Caitlin Koppock, Austin Koppock, of course, for their information on Fomalhaut, because I would never know this without both Sphere and Sundry and Christopher Warnock, Renaissance Astrology. And I remember the first time I looked at Fomalhaut Oceanic, and I don't know why it told me to look at my reputation, to do some magic to do with my reputation. For those of you who do not know, I have Neptune conjunct in my midheaven and my ruler of the ascendant, Jupiter, in the 11th house. And so I just tended to it. I don't even remember what happened because those forces were hidden to my eyes, and those were the energies. So it's beyond words. It is deep intuition, and it tells you what to tend to. So and how to do it. And there's energy in the words. Very, very beautiful. It's like you can see the energy put into the talismanic work if you're open to that or able to see that, and it connects with you. Sometimes I'm really able to see what the magician has put, and so I'm not saying exactly because I don't know if they intend to say it's like the creator, the creation. I don't know if they intend to say it out loud. So I try to say more what it gives to me, but I sometimes see, I was actually doing a Deneb Algedy work, and I was going to one of the, looking for the symbol. Immediately I felt like an energy coming, and then I realized, oh, it was the energy that the magician put into the talisman when they created it, and I'm like, okay. Probably I'm not supposed to say it, so I won't say it. But see, this is Fomalhaut. It's like, oh, that's what I was feeling. Fomalhaut has this wisdom. It gives you that ability to be eloquent in energy. And it's always important. It adds a lot of magic. So here's the Fomalhaut. right where Saturn is. So, and yeah, now the ascendant is on Regulus, conjuncting very closely, which will already mean the descendant will conjunct from out. Do we have asteroids? Not right yet. Okay. Vertex is approaching Mars. Mars was on the 11th degree all day. Now it's on the 12th and we can relax a little bit. Very exciting, that I can say. Exalted Mars in Capricorn is very exciting. It is endurance and competence, and capability, and even when it's squaring Chiron, it's applying to square Chiron, that it rules now, and it's the ability to apply something that stands the test of time. This is very exciting. Being excited about what you do. Mars brings excitement to Saturn Capricorn. And the beautiful, remember the beautiful bisextile we have with Mars and Jupiter and Saturn. I hope you also began important things at the time and harvested that amazing energy. If not, then you can try and look around the community and see who harvested and purchase their products, because it's going to be worthy. That's for sure. So shout out to Beth again for the beautiful Sun Pluto election with the moon trining from Taurus that we had earlier today. I talked about a lot, so I hope you managed to harvest this energy, or at least be aware that you want to be in contact with someone who did. So moving forward. And we are in the last degrees where the midheaven is ruled by Venus. And she's still going to be, she's going to be on the 4th house. Venus is at her joy. Let her enjoy that. We're already an hour here talking, I believe. Yeah. So oh yeah. The ruler of Saturn is Jupiter, and the ruler of Jupiter is Venus. So Venus is very prominent upon this ingress, believe it or not. This is why this goddess of energy is so on the rise right now and so strong upon this Pluto ingress. And it's a blessing. Okay, we're talking about the goddess of benevolence, the goddess of Jupiter in Taurus, the goddess of Jupiter, the great benefic in Taurus, another great benefic, okay? And Venus being in the sign of Jupiter. So we get this everlasting benefic loop of benevolence, expansion on benevolence, incarnation, reality that is benevolent, incarnation of a reality that is benevolent. That is what we're dealing with here in Saturn's incarnation. Pluto as well is birthing, materializing things. So there's a lot of good things happening, and they're not all hidden under the surface. When we connect to this, and I hope we can connect to this with this episode, with this live, and rewatch it. Come back again. Tap into the energy when you need to remember the energy of this ingress. Yes, Venus rules absolutely financial freedom. In Sag with Jupiter in Venus sign, financial freedom. But it's also the incarnation of actual financial freedom, actual material freedom, actual essential freedom, actual beauty, actual freedom with a sensuality, actual benevolence. Okay, the leaves fall. I'm going to give a shout out to an Israeli channeler that you might not all be able to enjoy for the language barrier. There's no longer a barrier in many cases. The midheaven is here on the honorific degree. And hello there. So he is in Amsterdam right now, traveling to my fatherland. And he's meeting trees and talking with trees. And one of the messages, the recent messages he got from the trees, was to rest when this, think about the greater things in life and solve the mysteries of life, just like Albert Einstein did. So I'm kind of thinking this was either inspired by, or maybe this tree was Albert Einstein, I don't know. And you lie down, when you have a problem, you lie down, you think about the problems of life, and you sleep a lot and you rest. And if you don't see a solution, then you shed the dead leaves. Think about the dead skin or dirt, okay, it's kind of like brushing our teeth and shedding what no longer serves. And then the solution, the new, is born inside you, okay? It is born inside you. Think of Pluto, born inside you. Pluto in Capricorn sign, birthing in trees. Think about trees that live centuries, so they're going through another birthing cycle now. They're rejuvenating the trees themselves. This is the nervous system of our planet, but also the cosmos. So yeah, birthing. My wombi chose to Monday around this ingress, upon this ingress, and I'm like, that's an interesting date. Why now? Why now? This is what we do. Okay, so we're also rejuvenating. If you're beginning your moon days today with me, you can write in the comments below, we're synced. So yeah, we're synced. Upon this powerful, joyous ingress. Because yes, we are shedding leaves, we are shedding what no longer serves, absolutely. And the news are going to be bombastic, okay? This financial system, okay, the old leaves in the old trees die. And those leaves, a leaf for a tree can be a banking system on the mundane level, can be a regime, can be tyranny, basically. That's just what we're shedding here, is tyranny. There's not going to be the news, but that's in essence what it is. And so making place, if the trees are rejuvenating, then the nervous system underneath the ground is rejuvenating, but also in the air. So the air is rejuvenating. It's an inner Freude. Okay, it's an inner bliss. And so this is important to remember today. what's being created. Yes, yes, the midheaven is still on the anaretic degree of Taurus. Almost saying that's true, that's true, that's what's happening, that's true. Talk about this. Okay, and remember, yes, Venus is squaring Neptune. She's releasing from that square, and she's also releasing from the trine to Aries. She knows what's up. The news are gonna be, oh my God. Well, we are shedding it now because the oh my God was when you didn't hear about it in the news. And vertex is on Mars. 12 degrees Capricorn. It's a Pisces degree. This is according to Nicola Stojanovic, degree theory, 12 and 24 are Pisces degrees. So this is a degree of manifesting with action because Mars is action. Think about an action that you can take right now with your feet. So manifesting with action. And the ruler of Mars is Saturn. Saturn is in Pisces. Think about your feet. Think about aligning the structure of your bones, doing some, you could do it with me right now, because I am doing this. And I will try not to make weird voices in the camera. Because I always get to have weird voices when I play with my feet. So, and this is the entertaining part of the day. Yes, we've ingressed into Gemini. Now the moon is the most angular. And Pluto is still at the gate. You see, gate is a Mercury word, but also Pluto word. Yes, Mercury night. With midheaven ruled by Mercury, it's a great time to honor Mercury. So the trickster, but also, and I think Christopher Warnock again, the god of trustworthiness. When I was reading the invocation to Mercury, that was quoted by Christopher Warnock on his website, I was like, trustworthiness? Really? And because I've heard like, Mercury is the trickster. But it is about trustworthiness. It's being informed of how to deliver a message. So, yeah. Trustworthiness. And we're only right now, I think, about how the midheaven was on Sedna. And now it's releasing from Sedna and applying to the moon. So think about Mercury as trustworthiness. The trickery of creating trust. Why trickery? Because it's the technology. Because it takes skill, communication, creating communication, preserving communication. It's a skill. It's a sense of optimism as well. Trustworthy communication, true communication. Oh, 1-1. Midheaven moon, and the moon is the most angular. Venus is in the 4th house right now. For a while now. We're on the Virgo Pisces axis as the first and 7th. A little bit about the nodes here. Ketu with Libra. Venus is ruling Ketu. It's about the letting go and releasing, but also receiving divine wisdom. We are releasing old systems, but we are remembering ancient wisdom about wealth. Wealth is many things, not just the way we are releasing now. Many wealth types and ways to create and preserve wealth. We're remembering that as Rahu is in Aries. And this Mars is manifesting the new, manifesting autonomy, inclusivity. It's not what we read about in the news. And this also exists. This vertex is making its way to Pluto. But the exciting thing about this, I'm going to begin to play with the time just a little bit. So, let's see if we have more than 1 hour. That's quite some time. Ooh. Yes, we have more than 1 hour. A lot more than 1 hour. So I'm not going to be able to spend with you the whole time. And yeah, I probably won't be awake for this. But the moon will be separating. And it will be a Saturn hour? No, this can't be. Oh, it will be already, yes, it will be a Mercury night still. When we get the 00, it's gonna be here. It's a Saturn hour, but it can be like before because so the 00 is 3:39, and we have some time. I don't know which one of you will be able to sleep tonight. It's not impossible that I will be awakened. It just happened. But I remind you that the news are going to read differently to what actually is being born here. And I remind you of what's being born here. So I'll see you in the next episode.